Yo, what is going on, guys? Nuxter here. I'm going to bring you guys an episode of Nux Notes. This is going to be the first of its kind. It's going to be groundbreaking, I know. I wanted to bring you guys my Gfinity Reflections vlog. So when, in the past, on the SB channel, I brought you guys a Gfinity predictions video. I wanted to do a follow-up, a little week later. Because now you have roster shaking up. You've got sort of news coming out of, the effects of Gfinity. We get to see the outcomes of this event. We get to see how it shapes the COD esports landscape. All that. So let's talk about Gfinity as a whole. Gfinity, man, I love this event. It's always fun to watch. The production value is insane as always. We actually get countdowns to see when the maps start. It's so ridiculous. Like in the grand finals, we have a 20-minute countdown to say, here's when the finals are going to happen. Go to the bathroom, get a couple snacks, grab a couple of buddies, maybe hop on a Skype call with your friends to watch. There's so much that they put in, there's so much effort that they put into this event. I really give props to the guys at Gfinity Productions. They really did well. I thought, like the montages that they played in between, you could actually watch something if the ad stopped playing that was enjoyable to watch. You would be interesting, oh my god, you get to see Formal make these outplays and Ghosts. You get to see this happen. So it's so much nostalgia in that, and it was also just really hype. It gets you motivated, it gets you hyped to watch your favorite teams play. That being said, one of the main downsides of the event, besides prize pool and international competition, all that positive good stuff, was the spectators. Now, I was watching on stream. I obviously didn't go to Gfinity. I couldn't fly over there. So one of the downsides I thought was the crowd interaction and with the stream and what you're able to hear. So when they were doing listen-ins and stuff, you really couldn't hear the crowd. It was just the players. I felt it was a little awkward. You could hear the white noise playing through the players' mics. I thought they could have done that a little better. I wanted to hear in the grand finals, the troops of Optic Gaming, the people rallying for their team. Maybe that wasn't happening, so maybe they didn't do that. Maybe the crowd was going insane. We couldn't hear it on stream. So I wish if they were going insane that we could hear that. If they weren't, they picked better audience members. I don't know what the situation was, guys. But that was my only, knock on the event as a whole. But overall, and besides tournament format, I'll get into that a little later. But overall, guys, it was a ridiculous event. My predictions shook out pretty well. I'll talk about that in just a second. So running down the top 8, we've got FaZe Clan with first, Optic Gaming taking second, Optic Nation taking third, Infused with fourth, and then 5th through 8th, who didn't play Constellations, were Vitality Storm, Epsilon EU, Envious, and Team Elevate. Right away, you're like, oh my gosh, who's Team Infused? How did they get here? I had them in my top 8. I'm proud to say it. I was tweeting all weekend yeah, these guys are going to make the upset happen. I can see them making out of their pool. Team Caliber's not looking as strong as, people seem to think they are. I think they can make it out top 8. They made top 4. That was pretty impressive to me, but you also have Optic Nation now. In my top 8, I had Vitality Storm and TCM making out of the pool. What actually happened was Optic Nation, upsetting TCM and Vitality Storm beating TCM to make it out of the pool. So Optic Nation and Vitality, I didn't think Optic Nation had it, man. I didn't think they had it in them because for whatever reason at Dallas, they just didn't make top 8. It was TCM. If you look at that head-to-head matchup, they were 5th place at Dallas. They had a really good run at there and through the losers bracket. They really did well for themselves. So how do you see Optic Nation beating TCM? I thought the prediction of TCM made sense to me. Optic Nation made the upset happen. That's fair play to them. Obviously, they clutched up when they needed to. So, for whatever reason, Mochila just stepped it up this weekend. Even at the last Gfinity, Optic Nation, they knocked out Denial. They placed top 4 over Denial. I think they knocked them into top 8. This was after a second placing at East WC, after a first place at COD Champs. So, Optic Nation, man, these are the underdogs of Gfinity events. So I guess if there's another Gfinity for the rest of Advanced Warfare, look out for them to be the underdog team, the dark horse of the tournament. That being said, that was pretty ridiculous play by them. So my tops, I had made 7 out of the 8 predictions going into bracket play. That was pretty fun for me, but I want to dive a little bit more into depth with Team Infused and how their road worked. So people are saying TK and FaZe were the shoo-ins of this pool. I didn't really see it that way. I thought Infused had a very good chance of making out of this pool. In fact, I had them making it out. That's why, I had 7 out of 8 predictions. FaZe playing Liquid in the first round of the semis in their group. That was pretty easy, 3-0ing them. And then FaZe probably were taking first seed after that point, so it didn't matter who they were playing. So the most important matchup, in my opinion, in that group was Infused and TK. Infused win Game 5. So they've been, clutching up all that weekend. Quicker Than You was dropping, double digits in all the respawns. Lexity made a huge name for himself. Him and Urban are now both on Vitality Storm, replacing some players on there. And now he's on PD. I think the roster is PD, Urban, Lexity, and Tommy. So it's a ridiculous lineup right there. Very strong players across the board. I just didn't think TK had it in them, man. At Dallas, they didn't place top 8. They didn't make it another group in the top 2. So what gives people the gusto, the gumption to think that TK have it to be Team Infused TK having to beat Team Infuse, because honestly, Team Infuse can make the upset. They're a wild card team, and TK, they're sort of mediocre NA team, right? So I don't know. You have the Slayer in Nameless, who's supposed to be like their main Slayer. He only has a 1.02 KD at Dallas, so like if you're a main Slayer, you kind of need like a 1.2, 1.3 right away. You look at that stat and you're like, this guy is just average. He's only getting 1 KD, and his other 3 players, Sharp and Theory, are both like 0.85s. Nezlo's like 0.9. These teammates aren't going to be the slaying squad you need to win the games, especially in a game that's so heavily dependent on gunfights. Every decision you have to base on if you win or lose a gunfight. If you're losing more gunfights than you're winning, you have probably a better chance to lose the game. Just a thought. But TK, they lost 3-2 in the first round of the semis in their group, so they're obviously, in loser's bracket at that point. They 3-0 Liquid, and then Infuse lose to FaZe. That was expected, so now you have a rematch. Infuse beat them 3-1 this time. So if we take their series counts as a whole, Infuse went 6-3 in map count against TK. 66% win rate. That's pretty good. They're the better team. That's objectively, that's just how you have to look at it. So they're making it into bracket play from that point. They go against Elevate in the first round. That was pretty ridiculous. They win it in Game 5. Props to those guys, man. Winning Game 5 against Infuse or against Elevate, that's probably the way you do it, Game 5, because it's an S&D map. It's an S&D. You have more coordination, whereas Elevate was a pickup squad from NA. But even still, I thought they pulled off an upset there because of the raw skill on Elevate. I just thought they had the passion. They had the drive to really place top 4 this event, Elevate, but didn't end up clutching up right there. So Infuse, props to those guys. I was tweeting all weekend, like I said before. These guys are a very, very solid team. I love the guys. Quicker Than You. Been a fan of him ever since he swapped from pub stomping to competitive, so I loved watching his road. He was on Lightning Pandas, actually, so that's throwback to Call of Duty Ghost right there. But Infuse got top 4 from that point on. But let's look at Optic Nation's roads, and this is sort of one of the reasons why I wasn't a fan of the format of the tournament. I'm upset, you can call it. I'm a little salty that I didn't make an 8 out of 8 predictions of people making it out of pools. A little salty on that one. Maybe that's the reason why I'm complaining about the tournament format. But I didn't think Optic Nation really not deserved. They obviously deserved it because they won. I just didn't think they were the stronger team out of the three teams in their pool. I thought they were the 3rd best team in that pool. So if we look at the road, they play Spirit Gaming in the first round. That's a shoo-in, basically. They make it to the finals instantly after that point, I think. So Optic Nation make it to the finals, and Vitality Storm and TCM. I think TCM made the upset here on Vitality Storm. This is where I could have seen TCM making it and not Vitality Storm, because Optic Nation was pretty much already, after they upset TCM in the finals, they already had the first seed locked. So I thought TCM was going to make it out at this point, but Vitality Storm, they ended up 3-0ing TCM in the losers round. So now it's Optic Nation and Vitality Storm making out in first and second seed respectively. So that was the upset right there. Optic Nation Game 5ing TCM. I don't know what it was. TCM, man. They placed 5th at Dallas. Optic Nation didn't place top 8. They clutched up that weekend. I thought Vitality Storm was a stronger team than TCM. They ended up winning that, so it made sense there. But Optic Nation, man, if they played Vitality Storm, I thought they would have lost that matchup. That's why I was a little upset that it wasn't a round-robin format, is because you don't get to see how they do against every single team. They don't get to compare map counts, series counts, if they don't play every team. They're just playing 2 teams. Optic Nation's road to make it to top 3, basically, because they upset another team, Epsilon EU, was to beat SG, TCM, which is an average an A team, and then they beat Epsilon. That was an upset as well. So yeah, I guess, Optic Nation, they had a fair road to make it to top 3 because they beat Infuse in the consolation match as well. Props to those underdog teams. So that's all out of the way. I think the teams that we all expected in the grand finals made it there, Optic Gaming and FaZe. One interesting thing I want to talk about is they both played Envious. So both Optic Gaming and FaZe beat Envious, but Optic Gaming in their pools beat them in a game 5, whereas FaZe beat them in a game 4. That right there shows to me that FaZe, they're the stronger team. Just they're beating Envious, even though they're in closer games, you could say. Optic Gaming, it takes longer to beat Envious, who isn't considered the top 2 team. It's FaZe and Optic Gaming. So if you look at their matchup head to head, you have to give it in favor of FaZe right there because they're beating Optic Nation in the map count versus Envious. That's interesting right there. You can't, all in all, it's you have to take Call of Duty series by series. Sorry, my hands are I feel like my camera's too small, but I can't see my hands. But series by series, you have to look at Call of Duty, and overall, Optic Gaming and FaZe are the top 2. They're the most consistent teams. They're obviously Optic Gaming right there, among the best teams in all of Call of Duty history ever. up there with Complexity, EG, and Furico Impact. So you expect this final. And so if you look at the maps, I'll just pull them up right here. You've got a game, so you've got best of 7 based on the way the tournament's formatted. Game 1, Hardpoint Solar. Crimsix goes huge, they win the Hardpoints. I think the only way Optic Gaming wins this grand final is if they win the actual Hardpoints. They haven't been looking as coordinated in the uplinks, if that's because of the acquisition of Karma, whatever their playstyles are. Something isn't meshing right. Maybe they're just not the better team than FaZe. Maybe FaZe is the new Optic Gaming. Whatever the reason is, they're not winning their uplinks like they were in dominating fashion. They had that 120-0 on uplink comeback at Dallas. It was against a pretty amateur team though, so against top teams, I don't think Optic Gaming has that fluidity that's gonna like carry you. They're not playing as perfect as they once were at the other events, so you don't expect them to win the uplinks, which they didn't. So the game 2 was the S&D Biolab. You expect FaZe to win this. Optic Gaming go up 2-0 in the series at this point. Right there, you're like, Optic Gaming probably should win the grand finals because in a best of 5, they have to lose 3 straight. They don't really ever do that. They don't really choke 3 maps in a row. Even if it's their worst maps, they usually pull one out of here or there. Nope, uplink comeback, they lose that. Whatever, they're not looking strong on uplink. You still have a 2-1 lead in the series. Hardpoint retreat. This is where you're 3-1 up in the series at Optic Gaming. They obviously, it was a little shaky. Sometimes it got close in the game. But overall, they win these hardpoints. They're supposed to win them. They do. 3-1 up in the series. Optic Gaming, again, have to lose 3 games in a row. So if this was a best of 5, they're up 2-0. They have to lose 3 games in a row to choke and lose the finals. S&D Recovery. This is fair. I think they have a chance at losing this map. I say have a chance. I mean, like, FaZe have a chance at winning, and we'll call it that, because you want to always give the team the positive as opposed to the negative. But S&D Recovery, I think it was a 6-4 round count. FaZe won that. Whatever. Fair play to them. Uplink Detroit. I think if Optic Gaming lose this map, they lose the series right there. Why do you say this? They still have another map to play in the S&D. S&D Game 7. You guys want to know what the map was? Riot. Let's talk about Riot S&D. Optic Gaming hasn't had a good history with Riot S&D, man. Remember UMG Dallas? Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember the heart wrench you felt as an Optic Gaming fan? Do you guys remember the pain, the suffering, the torment from various, kids in the stream chat that were flaming Karma and Crimsix and all the Optic Gaming members? Do you remember that game? Crimsix choking that 1v2? Obviously, it was a slight misstep in the play. It sucks that it had to be round 11, but that was Riot S&D. And it got to a round 11 when it maybe shouldn't have. Alright, fine, fair play. You lose around 11 here or there. Sometimes a choke happens, sometimes your controller malfunctions, maybe you make the misplay. That's, forgettable, but it was, remember, Riot S&D. Remember also the 1v4 Riot S&D round 11, where Havoc kind of crushed and dominated. Remember that? Do you, though? Like, 1v4 round 11, guys, that's probably one of the most historic game plays in all of Call of Duty competitive esports against Optic Gaming. It's Riot S&D, man. FaZe, if you let an amateur team do that to you, FaZe has such a better chance of beating Optic Gaming in the grand finals. Right there, you look at, alright, if it goes to Game 7, FaZe is winning it. It goes to Game 7 because Optic can't win the Detroit uplink, their best uplink map. Optic lose, kind of sad face, but if you compare the FaZe to Optic matchup, I'll talk about that in more depth. As a whole, I think it's very close. It's head-to-head. It's always like a toss-up, and you just have to look at the maps that they play. And I think Optic Gaming won all the maps that they were expected to win, even the Biolab S&D. That's probably one of their better S&D maps. So they're winning all the maps they're expected to win, and they're losing all the maps they're expected to lose. Maybe that's what it takes to beat a top team. You have to get the good maps. You have to get the good draw, really, in maps. So maybe I'm just throwing it out there, but I don't think Optic's been the same Optic as they have been. They've lost the novelty as being like the best slaying squad. Now FaZe is definitely rivaling them as the best team. They're, in my opinion, they're the best team right now. More consistent, at least. For whatever reason, the acquisition of Karma hasn't been as fluid as it was with Nadeshot or even with Enable when they were playing with them. Because if you look at it, guys, Enable has won more tournaments with Optic Gaming than Karma has. Think about that, for instance. And 4 out of the last 5 grand finals Enable has played, he's won them. So 2 of them against Optic Gaming, he's won with Optic Gaming, and 2 of them against Optic Gaming. Something tells me Enable is a little bit of a god here. He's definitely a top Advanced Warfare player. Obviously, coming from Justice, I think it was, and now obviously on FaZe, and he went to Optic. Like, people are looking at Enable like a super valuable asset, which he is, especially in Advanced Warfare. And maybe moving into Black Ops 3, this guy becomes the literal best player in the game. Who knows? Alongside Clayster, Scumpy, these gods. So Enable, man, I think if you look at the head-to-head matchups with Opti Gaming, Enable beats Karma like quite handily because obviously, like I said, he's won 4 out of the 5 last championships. Come on, man. Like, okay, so he's won more championships with Opti Gaming than Karma has. He's played more consistently than Karma has because Karma played fairly poorly at UMG Dallas. And also, let me go on this rant really quick. I'm sick of casters saying that a player is always good, that they don't know why the stream or some person ever doubted this player, why this person was ever considered bad. Karma had an underperforming Dallas. He had a .85 KD, and I know KD isn't everything, but he was losing gunfights that he shouldn't be losing, no matter what objective position or whatever slaying position you play. Whatever position you play, you should be winning certain gunfights. He wasn't winning those. That's an underperformance. You should be winning gunfights you have an advantage in. You should be putting yourself in better positions to carry or play your role to the best effect you can. He wasn't doing that to the best effect, and they lost in the Grand Finals 3-0. Maybe they lost gas at that point. There's so many factors going in, so you can't look at it objectively. But overall, people were saying Karma sucked because he had an underperforming Dallas. Objectively, he's not a bad player. He's playing at a very high level, in the top level of all Call of Duty players. If you look at the macro scheme, if you look at all the pub players that ever played, millions of people, go to that 1% of players who are pro, or maybe 0.01, and he's in the top like 50% of the top players. So can't take anything away from Karma in that regard. He's going to crush you in a pub match, but actually I can have a video that says otherwise, but that's neither here nor there. Karma, man, he had an underperforming Dallas, and Gfinity he does well. If they won, he would have been considered the MVP. But the casters were saying that he was always considered this. He was always playing this well. Not necessarily true. Remember Zuma? He was the X factor before UMG Dallas. He was like, this guy can go off every now and then, but his team has to show up, and he has to. All these factors have to go well for Zuma to do this and make that outplay happen and make the carry potential available for his team to win the game. When they go into UMG Dallas, this dude hard carries the finals. Hardpoint, he's the top slayer. S&D, he's going double digits, he's clutching the rounds that he needs to win the game against Opti Gaming, and positions that you normally expect them to win those trades. Uplink, he has super great positioning, he's winning, he's pushing the ball around the map, he's winning those gunfights he needs to. 3-0 Opti Gaming in the finals. Zuma is the best SMG player in the game. How do you even like go from, oh, this guy's decent, to like, this guy's the best? I remember in Call of Duty goes Apathy, this guy's the X Factor. I mean, they still say that, but they're like, this guy's the X Factor. If he doesn't go off, the team doesn't win. He's not as consistent as you think. He's not going to go off every game. He's just going to do his thing. He's going to go to 1.2 KD, and those games he's super outperforming, he's going to get 2 KD. But in those games he's doing bad, he's getting 0.9, maybe 0.95. He's not clutching. He's not carrying for you, right? So he's not going to be like that scumpy player that's always hard carrying, who's always trying to put his carry pants on and doing what he needs to win the game from those positions on the map. So you have to look at a player's skill in context, right? Karma had a good Gfinity, had a bad Dallas. He wasn't always consistently playing at his Dallas as a Gfinity play. He wasn't playing the same way at Dallas. Same with Zuma. He wasn't playing the same way in previous events, but he played magnificent at Dallas, and at Gfinity, and then it was Enable. He played magnificent magnificent at Gfinity. Was he always playing that way? No. When he was on Opti Gaming, he was like, yeah, I am underperforming. I'm not doing as well as I am, even though we won ESWC, even though we won Gfinity Spring Masters. Look at a player's skill in context. Now that that's rant over, let's go back to what I was talking about. Enable versus Karma. I think Enable wins that head-to-head matchup just because of his recent performances. And now, the next head-to-head would be Scumpy and Zuma. I think Scumpy just wins this because of his, roles in the many iterations of Opti Gaming. He's always been hard carrying from so many positions. Black Ops 2, Call of Duty Ghosts. He's been a top 5 player among so many different CODs. This dude's a god. Scumpy, man, I think he wins that. Zuma, obviously, he may be the best player now, maybe in like gun skill or like whatever that genre is, if you want to speculate how good players are. But overall, Scumpy's a better player. I think he's had more experience. Zuma is a brand new player to the top 2 field, I think. So we'll have to see how Zuma develops. Maybe he'll become the next Scumpy. Who knows? So I think Scumpy wins that. So it's 1-1 right now. FaZe versus Optic in the player head-to-head. Then you've got Crimp6 versus Attach. I think Crimp6 wins this because of the role he plays on Optic Gaming. It's so much more important, so much more impactful, the role he has in Attach does on a FaZe. Crimp6, man, this dude slays when he needs to. He clutches up when he needs to. He shot calls for the team. He puts his team in the spirits that they need to win the games. He motivates their team. He tells his team what to do. He's shot calling. He's doing all these various things, and he's still doing very well for himself. He's still performing. at a top championship caliber team level. Sorry, my stomach was rumbling if you guys could hear that. A little hungry. It's early in the morning when I'm doing this video. So, Crim 6, I think he wins that easily. So now it's 2-1 in Optic's favor. Now we look at Formal and Clayster. People will say Formal is better than Clayster. I don't know. You can't look at their gun skill, man. I mean, accuracy, we don't have that statistic in Call of Duty. I wish we did. It would be so much easier to tell who the better player was in terms of gun skill. But Clayster, he's better. I think he does the. He's like fulfilling the role that Crim 6 does on Optic Gaming. He's the shot caller. He gets them hyped. He's performing in the KD department so much better than Formal is recently. KD's not everything, remember, but his position in phase as opposed to Formal's position in Optic, I think is much more impactful. He's won on denial. He's beaten Optic Gaming in so many different tournaments. He's had experience as an Optic Gaming player. He's an MVP. Like, this dude has so many accolades. He's won every stage practically. So, man, Clayster, I think he just wins that. I think Formal doesn't have the experience just yet. Clayster's been around for longer. He's done better. Give that to Clayster. So 2-2. Optic phase, neck and neck still. So it's like, how do you judge these two teams? Is it maps? Is it day by day? I think it's day by day. We'll have to see how these two teams match up at, I think the next event will be Season 3 playoffs, or maybe UMG DC. I'm really looking forward to those events, seeing how these two teams, can bounce back, how they perform. Maybe Optic Gaming has more fire. Maybe they'll, crumble and the roster will shift and something will happen. Who knows, guys? That's sort of speculation from then on, but overall, guys, Gfinity was such a good event. Production A1. Only knock really was the crowd interaction, the stream listen-ins, that sort of thing. But everything else was great. Montages in between. You get to know when the games start. Analyst desk. You got the casters who are doing really well. I liked I think the two brothers. I'm not sure what their names are. Remy. No, I don't think it's Remy. Sorry, Rel. I think it's Rel and Momo or something like that. Those two guys, I really like them. I like seeing new casters every now and then. Sometimes casters are a little amateurish, but I think those guys really were good for what their casting was at Gfinity. So that all being said, oh yeah, I want to talk about tournament format. I just wish that Gfinity, I mean, their tournament format was good. I thought it was fair, but I wish there was round robin in the group play. You get to see all the teams match up. Maybe Optic Nation places third if all the teams go 2-1, taking series off each other. And it's all based on map count at that point. Who has the most maps? Maybe Optic Nation, if they win in Game 5s, maybe they don't make it through because, guess what? They're taking more maps to beat top teams. Maybe they get knocked down to losers bracket into the championship bracket. Maybe there's no losers bracket. There's so many different ways for tournament format to work that I think it should just be taken you give a team the most chances. It's kind of annoying. Sometimes I think the best balance is round robin in the pool play. Going into, so the top two teams, obviously first seeds go versus second seeds first seeds from various groups, etc., etc. That's all fair and fun in the winners bracket. The bottom two teams in the pool play, or maybe the third team, they go into losers. They try to make their way through there because, in my opinion, if we look at the top 8, how that's shaken out, Optic Nation and Infused, they're not top 8, they're not top 4 teams internationally. And obviously there isn't denial. They're on some rosters, so maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but Optic Nation and Team Infused aren't top 4 teams. They're top 8 teams, maybe. But we'll have to see because they basically won where they need to, and if there isn't a losers bracket, there's no chance for redemption. When they get knocked down by a team like FaZe, when they get knocked down by a team like Optic Gaming, we don't get to see how they play in the losers bracket. We only get to see that, oh, now they're knocked out because they got lucky in the first round, and now they're placed higher. Maybe they're objectively better than some of the teams like Envious or Elevate, but they clutched up when they needed to. Maybe that's the way you judge things, but I would have loved to see a losers bracket, and then obviously the grand finals being 2 best-of-5s as opposed to best-of-7. I think that brings more. I feel like that's better. I remember at COD Champs for Black Ops 2, there's the best-of-11. That was fun to watch. So maybe we'll have to see if they do best-of-11s in the future. Well, that'll be fun to watch, or maybe just best-of-5s or best-of-7s like they did at Gfinity. But that's been enough of me, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this Nux Notes video. I think that's going to be the title of this series in the future. Anyways, it's been Nuxer. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please drop a like down below. Peace.